Okay. All right, and we're back. Sorry for the delay. We were having a little bit of technical difficulties. So we want to let you know if you're watching that you can
it's back.
You can feel free to send in your comments or your questions. We want to interact with you if you're online. We want you to feel like you're part of the discussion. So feel free to jump in. And also, if you want to have a discussion in person, we will be at the Manomet Library tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, and you can feel free to join us there. We'll be talking again about the first 271 pages.
Oh, maybe
Come
I
on
can finish
down.
my reading.
Yeah. All get our homework done.
Manomet Branch Library is at 12 Strand Ave, Manomet.
Yeah. So when we went off the air, we were talking about the symbolism and the sense of foreboding of seeing the dead direwolf with the start of the stag antlers through her neck, and how you do get a sense that the characters are in danger in a lot of these times. And off film, we were talking about Daenerys's wedding and how when you're seeing the Dothraki and their customs of fighting each other to the death in the middle of a wedding with their scary curved swords and
raping women
and just grabbing any woman that they want, you do get kind of a sense of danger for Dany about, well, what's going to happen to her on her wedding night with Khal Drogo, and then it ends up being a very sensual, consensual scene.
Very well written and kind of romantic.
Yeah. And but you do get the sense that you don't know what's going to happen with these characters.
That's for sure. Well, her brother's mean.
Oh yeah, Viserion. He is mean.
He's just driven by taking his. See now, he seems kind of crazy to me.
No, he's a little crazy. Yeah. So this is not necessarily spoilery, but they say that whenever a Targaryen is born, she's nodding, she knows what I'm going to say, the gods flip a coin, and either that Targaryen is a great man or he's absolutely insane. So
we have a comment that one person, Karen, says she's glad to hear that you like it. She's been hesitant to read it.
Oh, well,
tell her to sign up.
Sign up. If you haven't gotten a copy, we have a copy. You can always give it a try. It's easier to read than I think you think it is, and it's not really heavy on the fantasy parts of it. I know some people kind of hesitate because they're like, oh, I don't like to read fantasy, but the fantasy I find when I'm reading it, I don't feel like it's a very heavy. It doesn't read to me like Lord of the Rings.
No, I think you can really follow family interactions and how life happens, and there's intrigue. So, and maybe that's part of it because I do like to read mysteries.
Yeah.
So there's a plot that develops very naturally in this.
And I think there's very human elements that you attach to it. I included with our handouts here some quotes that Jennifer and I kind of pointed out, and I think some of them are ones that ring true to all humans, and for example, some old wounds never truly heal and bleed again at the slightest word. That was one that you pointed out to me.
And what was the situation that happened?
That was when Ned and Robert were in the tombs, and they were talking about Lyanna's passing.
Right.
This was Ned's point of view, what he was thinking about his sister. It was on page 45.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very human thing that most of us can relate to. We all have something in our past that if somebody talks about it, or
it's left a scar.
It's left a scar, and it's not difficult to make us feel those emotions again. Sometimes the slightest provocation can take you right back.
Right.
So
and it might not even be the person saying it, or intending. Right. Not intending, but it's a personal experience.
Right. Exactly. I think that there are situations, and one of the situations I wanted to talk about later, but one of them is like the Tyrion kind of taking Jon Snow under his wing when he's giving him all this advice. And I did put some of this down here where he says, like, let me give you some counsel, bastard, Lannister said. Never forget what you are, for surely the world will not. Make it your strength, then it can never be your weakness. Armor yourself in it, and it will never be used to hurt you. And that is just good advice. and it's, you know, something that I think is it's touching, their relationship, their friendship that Jon and Tyrion develop in the beginning.
Well,
of the
Tyrion is a real character, because for someone who hasn't seen the show, I know, isn't it Peter Dinklage?
Dinklage.
Yeah, Dinklage. So I can picture it, and just the description, and you know that he wrote the character in, and he wanted.
Well, yeah, he wanted when he wrote the book in, like, you know, the early 1990s. But when they were talking about in like 2007 making it a show, George R. R. Martin reportedly asked for Peter Dinklage to be cast as Tyrion.
So as you're reading it, it's really easy to picture. And he's sarcastic. He talks about his big head. At one point, it was about reading. He was talking about all the books that he reads.
Yeah,
and you can picture that he had to pick up something that was going to make up the difference for his size.
and his ability to learn as being a dashing figure. Value to the name Lannister.
But he is a wit.
We actually have a book downstairs too, Jennifer. I don't know if you've seen this, called The Wit and Wisdom of Tyrion Lannister.
No.
And we do. We have it downstairs. I think it's currently checked out because I had it on the display. But if you ever want to read Tyrion's words, there's a whole book devoted to his sayings.
So, folks who are watching from home, just so you know, if you come in the library on the right-hand side, we have a whole display set.
Wonderful.
And you can check out any of the books that are there. And additionally, if you sign up for the reading program, you actually can get a free copy of Game of Thrones and get started.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter if you've read it for the book discussion, any of our book discussions. Some people don't come and just listen. They don't even know anything about it. And some people read all of it and know everything. So
yeah, and it's something like this too, where there's such a great television product associated with it. You know, if you're a show watcher, come on in. That's fine. Yeah.
What was the wasn't there another? There was another. There were a couple other quotes.
Oh yeah, there were a couple other Tyrion quotes that I had put on here. I know this one I think was one of the ones that you were referring to. A mind needs books as a sword needs a whetstone if it's to keep its edge.
Yes.
Yeah. And one of the ones that I put down that I liked is, why is it when one man builds a wall, the next man immediately needs to know what's on the other side?
So all this nature.
It's human nature. The grass is greener kind of situation. Yeah.
See, and for me, as I'm reading it, in this time where we're talking about building a wall between Mexico, I mean, does anyone relate to that, or am I?
I think I was actually thinking about that a little bit as I was reading, because when I think we're introduced to the wall and what the Night Watch's purpose is, they are kind of guarding their border, and we're kind of supposed to perceive that they're guarding their border against the wildlings. Right. You know, because what happened with the others was thousands of years ago. So we don't know that there's actually, you know, an ice zombie. We don't know that there's a real threat there. So they're really guarding from native people, the native tribes.
Years ago?
Yeah, well, they built the wall thousands of years before the start of the story.
Yeah.
Was there?
We have another comment. Karen thought the show was gory.
Yeah, the show can be a little bit gory. I think when you're reading it, it's a little bit less because it's just, he chopped off his head, versus the actual visual of somebody being decapitated, which can be a little bit.
So as someone who watches, and I have to admit this, I watch Criminal Minds, I watch all the Law and Order, SVU, Criminal Intent, all this blood and gore, and actually Criminal Minds gets to me. But I mean, so they're showing that on regular TV,
Yeah.
and the psychology behind why that stuff happens. This is part of the story of, that's how they dealt with everything.
Right.
So I don't know if I'm desensitized. I myself don't walk around,
Yeah. I mean,
knocking people's heads off. But
Yeah.
I have a high tolerance rate, clearly.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think I do too. Of course, I was a horror movie watcher as a young adult.
Like Stephen King, we read him.
Yeah, we did The Shining here a few months ago.
But if it makes you feel any better, I will watch some of these shows with my cat, and I put my hand in front of my face and my hand in front of his face so he doesn't see it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So I can do it.
Yeah.
Unnecessary close up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this brings it, Karen. This brings us to Bran when he's put.
Yes. No, it's not. So one of the things that I found in my own experience of recommending the show to people or recommending the books to people is that when Bran is pushed out the window, that's a big point for watchers, which actually happens in the first episode, right? It's the ending of the first episode, and it's really not that far into the book. It's only about like 60, 70 pages into the book, and for a lot of people, that's it. Like, I think, I don't think the incest helps either. That happens right at the same point. But I think when people see Bran being pushed out the window, and in the book he's 8, in the show he's a little bit older, but only really like 11, still a small young child, and that I find is a point where people kind of.
It's a little bit of
Well, they say they stop. Yeah, but then I said to you and I were talking, and I said, I got up to this point, and you said, did that throw you off? I said, no.
I was like, well, I hope that when Jennifer gets to this point, she's not going to call the whole thing off. Like, how can we?
But then you take this, and what's sticking with me a lot, because I just recently read the whole where he's dreaming and he's flying with the crow.
Yeah.
And so since we did all the work with Edgar Allan Poe, and we're in Black Crows, anyhow, or the Raven.
Yeah.
So clearly bird imagery is part of literature. So, and he's dreaming and going off, and I think the description of that dream and where whatever place Bran is, I think all that is fantastic.
That's actually a really wonderful chapter.
Yeah.
That Bran's dream and his coming away.
And is he really seeing, like he's describing, seeing when they landed at King's River, right? If I'm saying it wrong.
King's Landing.
King's Landing, yeah. When she landed, right? So you partly wonder, is he really seeing it? Is his brain...
Yeah.
I don't know. And then you go, he must... the way they ended it, that he woke up at that point, I think it fit in very well.
Yeah. And that really is a beautiful, well-written... There are some really just well-written parts of these books.
Yeah.
So it's... But yeah, I have found that when that particular scene where he's pushed out of the tower seems to be a breaking point for some people. But for some people it's like kind of intriguing because he has been positioned as a main character. He's the first point of view character in the book, and then he's pushed out of a window and paralyzed and unconscious for 100 pages or
and
so.
you don't know if he's going to
live.
Right.
Yeah.
And she goes nuts, which is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
The way she won't budge or leave him alone, and the dire wolves, the wolves are crying, and her son Rob comes in, and he says, we need our mother too.
Right.
I just find all that very poignant.
Yeah.
For our own life experiences.
Right, yeah. That actually kind of reminded me, and this is kind of a weird association, but that point kind of reminded me of My Sister's Keeper by Jodi Picoult. I don't know if anybody's ever read that, but the mother in My Sister's Keeper is so focused on the child who's sick and who has cancer that she completely ignores the other two children, because she's so focused on keeping her daughter alive. And so she has one son who ends up being a firebug and setting fires to all these abandoned houses, but she's just very narrow-minded, like, no, my focus needs to be on this child that's sick. So for some reason, that it struck me as a very real way that mothers react to a situation where a child is ill or a child has, the focus is maybe just getting that child well. So did you have a way that you felt maybe about Catelyn? I know her treatment of Jon Snow is something that people have a hard time with. Did you?
Okay, because okay, so just to
Yeah.
explain. So Ned went off. He went off and was traveling around, and he had an affair with whatever.
We'll call her Wyla.
Yeah. So, and then she's pregnant, and in the meanwhile, are you saying, was Catelyn pledged to marry someone else?
No, Catelyn was originally pledged to marry Ned's brother Brandon, and then Brandon
was killed.
ran to King's Landing when Lyanna was abducted,
Right.
and he was put to death by the Mad King. He was actually roasted alive by wildfire in his armor. So that's a little bit of the
Did I
goriness.
miss that?
No, it's in here somewhere. But
Oh, okay. Did I miss that? Pinky Rose?
a little spoiler. Yeah.
So it made sense to me why she hated him,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or didn't want him around.
And because he's so close in age to Rob, that it was while, she
Yeah.
was pregnant as well, that,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's a little, yeah.
Yeah. So you can see, I think that as somebody who's been part of the Game of Thrones fandom for a while, and I've been going to the message boards and following along, there's a lot of hatred for,
No.
well, I'm a little geeky.
Well, how does someone go to the fan board?
Okay, so there's a great, if you're a Reddit user and you go to the A Song of Ice and Fire Reddit, REDDIT, they have a Song of Ice and Fire board, which is especially if you're into conspiracy theories or delving deep into the text or deep into the episodes, that's a great resource for things. So that's one of the places where I find things. But I also listen to podcasts, the Game of Thrones podcast. I like the Radio Westeros, and I like History of Westeros. Those are good. If you want like a deeper dive, those are really good.
So
resources.
will you be posting that information
Absolutely,
on Facebook,
yeah.
or have you already?
I can post that information on.
I just said we would.
Okay.
Yeah, Radio
Did
Westeros.
someone
was-
ask, or
yeah.
we're just okay?
No, I
all
just
right.
said.
Yeah. Well, Radio Westeros was nice enough to promote our program, so I think it's only fair that we
See if is anyone from
Radio
anyone's a
Westeros.
fan of the podcast? Are they tuning in tonight?
Let's see what people comment.
Okay.
They'll probably be more interested in like the speculation and prognostication,
Right.
or the stuff
Okay.
that's like deep dives.
Okay.
Although
deep dive.
deep dives, Jennifer.
Yeah.
You're gonna go deep. You're gonna know more about Game of Thrones than you ever.
Oh my God.
So in the fandom, people hate Catelyn. And a lot of the reason why people seem to hate
So they
Catelyn
love
is
Jon.
because they love Jon Snow.
Yeah.
And so there's other reasons, that they may have, but one of the main reasons is how she treated Jon at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I felt like that was a very typical sort of reaction. And I think she perceives Jon too as, because Ned treats him like he's his son.
Equal, right.
Yeah, he treats him equally. She maybe perceives Jon as a threat to her own children, that, robs birthright.
What's entitled to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And to me, that's not necessarily a crazy way to think.
Right.
And I think, I've seen it happen with my friends too, on a lesser extent, when they have, stepmothers who come in and suddenly like, oh, their father's not paying as much for their college tuition as they once were, or something that like happens just because it's a different, it changes the...
Well, in this world where they live, where they go off and fight and get killed and kingdoms are transferred, she has good reason to work.
Absolutely.
And so his decision to go to the wall,
Yes.
that was,
That's right.
and I don't know if he
Yeah.
stays on the wall, I don't know, but that's like a real life decision, and he's only what?
14 years old, yeah.
Very defining moment.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very
And I
much
think-
so. And
Was it Tyrion who told him think about this?
it was his Uncle Benjen
Yeah,
said, "Are you
okay.
sure?" Because his
Yeah.
Uncle Benjen is of the Night's Watch, and so when John makes the decision to join the Night's Watch, his uncle's, you're never going to have children, you're never going to get married.
Right.
It's a very serious decision, and John actually has the reaction of, well, I wasn't going to father any bastards or have any children or anything like that, and probably
Because
based
if
on
you're a
his,
bastard, then your children are.
yeah, well,
Okay.
because so he would never. So his last name is Snow and not Stark,
Right.
because the children who are born out of wedlock in the land of Westeros are given a generic last name. They're not even allowed to take their father's last name. So if you're born near House Tully and you're a bastard, your last name is Rivers. Or if you're born in Dorne, your last name is Sands. And it's always, something geographic usually. So in the north.
Or weather related.
Or weather related, yeah. So if Edric Storm,
That's where the name Smith and Brown.
I don't know.
It's a real easy name. Jones. Oh, I'm sorry.
We're not questioning the parentage of our beautiful Jennifer Jones, who's working our technology for us.
Our photographer tonight. Our Nevo specialist.
So that's why Jon Snow's name is Snow, not Stark.
I got the eyebrow.
That's the only difference because Ned does treat him as an equal, which,
Yeah, he does treat him like an equal. He treats him like he's just another one of his children.
Right.
So you can. I feel like I can understand. I know that there might be like Game of Thrones fans who come on this comments who are, you're wrong. Catelyn's horrible, but I don't think that she's horrible for this. I mean, I know that
they're all horrible for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I.
But they're also there's good things about all of them as well.
Yeah, which is. Again, very human. None of us are 100% good or 100% bad. And one of the things that George R.R. Martin has repeatedly said, let me just find the quote here, is that the only thing worth writing about is the conflict of the human heart. And because of this philosophy, his characters tend to not really be totally black or totally white. They're all shades of gray. And I think you do see that a lot and as much as Catelyn,
depth and
and it sometimes
dimension.
Your initial first impression is wrong, right? I mean, sometimes you hate someone, But at this point in the book, though, where you had Joffrey is kind of being a villain, right? His lies got Lady killed, which was a heartbreaking scene. It actually says. At the end of the scene in the river, when Sansa's describing Joffrey's anger at her, it says he looks at her with vile contempt and loathing.
Right.
And he is 12. So to have a 12-year-old who is capable of vile contempt is pretty intense, right? And
but because of the actions of her sister.
Because he was emasculated. Yeah, because she took away his sword, and he was on the ground whimpering, "Please don't hurt me," and he was trying to show off for Sansa, so he was embarrassed. Right. Yeah, I mean, emasculate is maybe a strong word for a 12-year-old, but he was trying to show off his manliness, right? And it backfired a little bit.
But he was being a jerk.
He was being a jerk, and he did cut the butcher's boy.
Yeah.
Which you shouldn't do. Butcher's boys have feelings too. Butcher's boys have feelings too.
There was a whole scene. So the whole description of the scene when they found Arya and the butcher's boy. I think they killed him.
They did kill him. The Hound rode him down and sliced him basically in half.
And then so there's the scene with Ned and Arya is crying to him, and King Robert. I mean, this was great. He's like, I don't want to hear this.
Yeah.
And it's like one side saying kill her. I forget what they want.
Yeah. So Cersei and Joffrey. Well, Cersei was everything Joffrey said to her, she was taking as gospel. I mean, she doesn't care anyway. She's a mother. She wanted somebody punished. Somebody had hurt her son, and she wanted him punished. So she wasn't going to get what she wanted from Arya. So any dire wolf would do, and they took Lady, which that was a really hard scene for me to reread because I don't know what it is, but whenever an animal is hurt or in a book, I have a really difficult time with it. And
defenseless.
Yeah, they're so defenseless. And Lady was such a good dog. She was just delicate and sweet, and she never hurt anybody because they all kind of take on the personalities of their owners. And Sansa's a delicate, sweet girl, and so her death and her being blamed for what happened to Joffrey is really sad. That's also a little bit of foreshadowing too, right? Because if the wolves represent the children, then and this is what happens to Lady because somebody crossed Joffrey, what in the future will happen to Sansa? There's all these little hints of things I find when I'm
Yeah.
reading. So one of the questions I had about Cersei is that she is the queen, right? She's married to Robert Baratheon.
Right.
But you always hear her referred to as Cersei Lannister, or that Lannister woman. So she's always referred to by her maiden name, her original house. It's always Cersei Lannister. It's never Cersei Baratheon. So she identifies very much.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And one of the other things that I was kind of picking up on as I was reading this time around is how much the lion is actually associated with Joffrey. So instead of the stag, the Lion of Lannister. So his sword is called Lion's Tooth, and he wears. There's one outfit that he wears that has lions embroidered on it, and I associated that with him being more attuned to his mother and his mother's side of the family than with his father. And it doesn't really seem like Robert Baratheon takes a lot of interest in his children anyway. So. But I kind of took that as more of a mama's boy kind of a yeah.
So just to be clear, when is it Caitlin when she gets to Rivers?
When she gets to King's Landing.
King's Landing.
Yeah.
So her daughters are Sansa and Arya.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to a part. So does she know this whole thing is happening? She'll find out.
Yeah, she knows this happened because her friend Peter Baelish
Yes.
has told her that has happened.
Is that Littlefinger?
Littlefinger, yes. He's a fun character too. Yeah.
He's a trouble.
He is a troublemaker.
Yeah.
You can tell already.
Yes.
Only 1/3 of the way through the first book. He is somewhat of a troublemaker, and so she does know that this has happened. But they, for security reasons, they've decided that it's not a good idea for her to meet with the girls or to talk with them about anything that's happened. But one of the things I noticed at the end of that particular chapter, when Ned goes to meet with Catelyn, is at the very end of that chapter. He's already preparing for war. He knows that something's going to happen. He's telling her that she needs to reinforce Moat Cailin, which is it's kind of up here. It's like gateway to the north. It's like almost it's a fortress that if it's well defended, people don't get through it. But he's telling her to call his bannermen or let his bannermen know. Like he knows that something's about to go down, and he's not even in the thick of it yet. We're not even in the, we're only 1/3 of the way through the book. There's another 600 pages to go. So. No, the Dothraki. Well, I shouldn't tell you what's going to happen.
All the books we've read, if I haven't finished it, I find out. But then I finish it afterward. So how far did we get? So does Ned get to see her before the end of this reading?
Ned gets to see Catelyn. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any love between them getting to see each other?
Well, I think Catelyn and Ned are very much in love with each other now. I think they grew to love each other over the course of they've been married about 14 years, and I think that, or 15 years.
So the whole thing, her whole reason for coming is because someone came to kill Bran.
Which that was a really intense scene too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do we find out who came?
Well, he was just a guy somebody hired. So it was a matter of finding out who hired him.
And we haven't found that out yet.
No, but we know that he used a very expensive, one-of-a-kind dagger made out of Valyrian steel, which is extremely rare.
And Valyrian is which family?
Valyrian steel is just a really special metal that came from the land of Valyria, which has since been destroyed because of the Doom. We'll talk about that next week.
Right. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
But which family?
So
you can't isolate which family.
It's not one family.
Okay.
It's like it was something that's been traded or held as valuable for a long time.
Yeah. You asked me before about fantasy. I read all the Merlin books. I mean, way back when, and Excalibur and all that stuff. So that part fit in very much with my knowledge of how these things go.
Yeah.
It didn't surprise me but the part that her hand is cut kind of sticks with me because I'm sitting there thinking they made this trip and how hasn't it like turned gangrene and fallen off?
Well, she does seek.
Oh no, this is fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's fine.
Pull down the shade a little bit, please. That one stuck? Oh, okay.
But yeah, they do have medical personnel that treat her. They're called maesters.
The other one. Yes.
So she was treated.
Okay.
You know, as
With some
advanced as
verbal
I mean,
yeah.
when I was, you know, going back to the gore aspect of it, I was thinking when they were describing her holding on to that knife as the guy was all the tendons and
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
And then she's in that horrible hotel, and she's pulling together the strings on her own dress. And I'm thinking, there's no
yeah,
way.
her fingers went in a bend,
Yeah.
dexterous
I mean, I
enough.
can barely get all my. I can't even get a bracelet hooked. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was a very scary scene
Yeah.
when he came in there, and the library was on fire, and nobody was in.
Yeah.
But, so it was kind of strategic for because he seemed to just be sort of some vagabond, some guy who was just hired to do this, but he hung out in their stables and he waited for an opportune moment,
Right.
set the library on fire, which
Right.
poor books, think of all those valuable tomes.
Of course.
Yeah. And
Of God only knows what. Since they
right,
but probably about dragon blood.
right, and Mason. And or no, we were never told.
I'm sitting here laughing, but I'm thinking people who like genealogies and family histories have to love this kind of thing.
I think they do, and I think that's why there were so many when we were looking for family trees, which I was very picky about which family tree that we wanted to use because I didn't want to give anybody spoilers. And I think that's why there were so many to choose from, though, because and then some of them were really quite involved. And if you see the family trees in the back of this, that are really very intense.
So which book is this?
So this is The World of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin and a couple of his pictures. And there's beautiful illustrations, and I can show some of those. We have a lot of copies that people can check out. There's only one available to check out right now, but this is just an example of how complicated these fictitious family trees can really get. This is just the Targaryens. Yeah, this is just the Targaryens.
And Kate didn't want to show all of it because it would show some spoilers of who.
Yeah, this one's not that. I mean, this one's not that bad, but I mean, it would tell like who marries who, and
But I just want to take a minute to tie in our other summer reading program this summer is Victoria, which is all about the royal line and certainly following family trees and how families marry together for strength or for kingdoms. It's all part of it. So so if you don't want to read Game of Thrones, if you want to read Game of Thrones but also read
less
Victoria,
access maybe.
Yeah, slightly less beheading.
That Mary Queen of Scots. Did she ever had?
We're going to talk about the Tudors too. We do have a historian coming in to talk about the Tudor family.
Yes.
There were a lot of beheadings in that family tree. Yeah. So, but that should be fun.
7th.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah, that may be the calendar.
So, did it surprise you to see Cersei and Jaime were more than just twins and brother and sister, that they were lovers? Was that like a really shocking?
So did you know
Yes.
that? See, I didn't know that. That was a spoiler of one of those days when I came in and I said to you, I just read the Bram, and she said, did that surprise you that they were it was incest? And I didn't follow that. I didn't pick up on that.
Well, they didn't say Jaime's name, but he refers to her as his sister. So it was either him or Tyrion.
Right. and we knew it wasn't Tyrion.
Well, Tyrion's probably not throwing somebody who's his size out of the window.
Or bigger.
So I'm not sure that.
Oh, 7. Oh,
yeah.
So are we supposed to be wrapping it up then?
Well, how many followers do we have and all that?
Right now you got 5 people watching.
Oh, okay, great. So we'll go ahead and talk for about another 10 minutes, and then we'll make sure if there's anyone who wants to make a comment or let us know if we're on track with this.
So far we've got a compliment, very interesting and knowledgeable group leader.
Oh,
thank
isn't she?
And a question about whether we're doing this, but we answered it and said we're doing it Wednesdays through August 9th, except for July 5th and July 26th.
Okay. But they can always go online. Anyone can go online.
Sound is coming out. Oh, Karen said she's going to get the book and join next week.
Okay,
Excellent. Good. We're excited. Good, because next week I'm going to pump you full of backstory, so you'll be able to pick right up on everything that's going on. So I just want to kind of contrast, so you have this relationship with Cersei and Jaime, where Jaime is willing to throw a small child out of a window to protect his sister.
Mm-hmm.
And in contrast, you have Daenerys and Viserys.
Yeah.
And Targaryens have traditionally married within their own family tree to try to keep their bloodlines pure. So being the last two Targaryens, Daenerys had always expected that she would be married to her brother. And instead, her brother kind of treats her like she is prized to be bartered off. And for him to fund his own war. So I thought that to have these, they kind of mirrored each other for me, these.
See, I didn't pick up that the Targaryens traditionally married within their own family.
Dany actually says it at one point in one of her chapters that she had expected to marry her brother,
that I saw.
and that so she didn't know. She was surprised that she was being married off to the Dothraki.
But it's tough.
Yeah. So Viserys and Dany, they have this relationship where she's not really considered valuable to him except for as a piece to be bartered.
Right.
And
Chattel.
For his
chattel.
benefit.
She's chattel. For his benefit. So, but
only because he's driven by this craziness to get his kingdom
this
back.
crazy ambition.
Right.
And we have, by the end of our section, Dany has really come into her own as Khaleesi. She's really matured and she's kind of stands out as being stronger, wiser, better of the two siblings. But Viserys still has this kind of blind ambition that he's going to rule the Seven Kingdoms. They're all waiting for him to come back. They're sewing dragon banners, And
so is everyone buying into his craziness?
well, that's what I was going to ask you. Is what do you think his chances are of taking over the Seven Kingdoms? Are they?
I don't think it's realistic.
Not realistic.
No.
Yeah.
Which
not
seems to
looking
be
good.
something else that is, going on in today's world.
Yeah.
Knowing.
So the Targaryens take their connection to their sigil very seriously. Viserys keeps saying to Dany, you're going to wake the dragon. You're going to wake the dragon.
Right.
And I think at the beginning of the story, as a reader, I saw that as a threat that he was going to do serious bodily harm to her. He was going to hurt her.
Right.
And at the end of even just the 270 pages that we read, it's kind of laughable, right?
Yeah.
He's threatening her. You're gonna wake the dragon.
But by then she's married to this.
Yeah, and she's a stronger person in
power. Power has changed.
He looks so much more pathetic.
Yeah.
Where she's gotten stronger,
Right.
he's gotten weaker, and he's kind of a more laughable. You think of him as being somewhat absurd, but Dany really does actually have an awakening. She is struggling in the huge. She's struggling in the Dothraki Sea. She's having a hard time. She's getting saddle sores. She's really unhappy. Then she's looking at her dragon eggs, getting strength from them, falls asleep and has dragon dreams. And she has this one dream where she really is communing with this dragon and he blows fire on her. But after she's burnt, she's her skin chars off and she's anew in her dream. She's like a phoenix, exactly, rising up from the ashes. And she, from that day on, she's
I love her.
Yeah, she's great,
She's
right?
Yeah.
She's just stronger, better character.
Is she the most favorite of?
I'm partial.
Yeah, I think
I
she's.
love Jon Snow.
Yeah,
I love Jon Snow.
I would say if we're gonna, say who are the fan favorites, Daenerys, Jon Snow, Tyrion, obviously.
Yeah.
I think a lot of
people
people.
for Sansa.
Yeah, I like Sansa too. Again, one that
Really?
most.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of
She's
a person
a
that she is a fighter. A lot of fans don't like her,
that.
but I do.
Because she's a girly girl.
I like that. I think there's different kinds of strength, and I think Arya has she wants to be a literal fighter, and Sansa
Overcomes a lot.
Oh, Sansa overcomes a lot, but she's also working.
Different kind of strength.
Yeah, she's also learning how to work within the system. So she's
learning the
learning
politics.
she's learning the politics. She's learning how to use her social graces and her manners to her best benefit. She's learning how to be strategic, and I find that growth really interesting.
Right.
Yeah, very interesting.
For a girl in
This society,
this
because
time,
they're really, I mean, women have no power at all, but I think you do see that there are women who rebel against having no power at all. Like maybe Cersei is a woman who resents having no power.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Catelyn would be a woman who has learned, how to use her place to her best advantage,
Right.
and so I think I think we are shown through the large amount of characters that we have, like different kinds of strength, different kinds of
Do you think George R.R. Martin has a good understanding of women?
I actually like the way he writes women. There's sometimes, and I won't say their names, but sometimes I read male authors and I'm like, that is just not how women think or operate, or that's just not realistic. And sometimes there's authors who are really well received,
But the
top authors, but
their male characters.
their female characters are just not realistic to me.
Yeah.
To me, when I read the female characters in Song of Ice and Fire, I don't have that moment where I'm like, they're not realistic, or they're not, and they're varied too, and they're not like, nothing ever really seems gratuitous in a way that it's that they're thinking a certain way to appeal to a male audience, or it seems like they are organically their own characters. So and they I don't have a problem. I know that there is further along in the series and on the television show, there's a lot of gratuitous nudity on the television show,
which we will not be showing.
We will not be showing you that.
Sorry, don't hang up.
Don't leave. So there's a lot of sexual violence later on in the series and on the television show. But to me, I never read that and thought that it was out of place for the world that they're in. Because women were chattel, and it was about power, and it was about making somebody realize they were less. So to me, I never thought, oh, this is just not realistic to me when I'm reading it. I always thought it kind of fit within the scope of the world and the way that the society was set up. And I actually think that because the society is set up in this way, it gives. Giving these female characters all these different obstacles, that it makes it that much more impressive when they're able to rise above them and overcome these obstacles.
So we are coming to the end, but I want to ask you something.
Sure.
If you're someone who, like myself, who hasn't seen any of the shows, and next week we're talking about Westeros.
Next week we're talking about the history of Westeros, and we're going to go over some of the basic backstory that people get confused about or have questions about when they're.
So would you suggest someone watch the first series?
I mean, if you were to watch the first 3 episodes, I feel 3 or 4 episodes of the show, it would bring you right to about where we are in the book right now.
And if you don't have HBO, how do you have access to that?
With your library card, Jennifer.
Really? Tell me, how would I do that?
So we have all 6 seasons of Game of Thrones available for people to check out downstairs.
Okay.
Last time I checked, season 1 was on the shelf.
Oh, really? Ooh.
We just had somebody say they liked Arya Stark as a character.
Oh, excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Arya Stark too. I know we've been a little bit rough on her.
Yeah.
Well, no, she
Karina.
That was me.
Oh, that's
No, you like her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the one who's.
Yeah, but it's okay, Jennifer, because
I'll come along.
there's somebody
I
for
think it's
everyone.
my sister. I think it's
You're
my own
thinking-
sister relationship.
Yeah, you're thinking
Because
better.
I'm the
Like
younger
she said,
sister, and
she
she's
said in the beginning, it's like a typical family.
Yeah.
Typical family relationships and
Dynamics.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can see, in
I'm
the
sure that
characters.
has something to do with this. Because I was always the well-behaved one, and Kathy always caused trouble.
Kathy, if
Oh,
you're watching, she
my
doesn't mean
sister.
it. No.
She doesn't do Facebook. So, great job. Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you.
And
I can't wait till next week.
I hope we see you
Excited.
again, yes.
Yeah.
And anyone else, contact the library if you want help signing up for the program. But we are going to be doing this all summer long, so. Are we signing up?
Technical
Brian.
issues.
Technical issues.
Well, we're wrapping it up anyway. So
Okay.
good night, everybody.
Right,
Thank
good
you for
night.
joining us.
Thank you.
Karina, do you want a free book? Because
Love a free
you
book.
could have a book.
Wait, are you up? Jen, have
It
you
wouldn't
just-
shut down. It got
Oh, it
frozen.
just went
It got
slow.
frozen.
So, but
And
she
she
needs
I
to
took it
go.
from the display
But
downstairs. I was
she
gonna
needs
check
to
it
go on
out.
the
Yeah.
sign up.
Well, I can take her.
We're gonna sign you up, so
Perfect.
yeah, that's how we're keeping.
Okay.
And you do have a copy of the, did you get the whole calendar?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the only thing
to
that,
get my son summer reading in the children's room, and I saw this, and I was like, oh, this needs, I have to do this.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So let me just show you, there's one thing we added that's not in here.
Here you go, Kate. It's some
And
compliment.
it's, we have a, we
Oh,
have
Hannah
a,
Woodford. Yay.
we have the science